Hi guys, GoSuLoz here with another Shadowverse video. Now I wanted to do some in-depth walkthroughs of some decks that I've been using to climb up the ranked mode. These will all be net decked. The website I've been using is called gameai.jp. The link will be in the description. I wanted to do one deck for each class, a very powerful deck for each class that will at least be at Masters level. I'll only do the tutorial once I've got comfortable enough with the deck, once I've played maybe 50-60 games at ranked level on the deck, so I feel comfortable enough to talk through how it works and why each card's in the deck. So let's begin. So the first deck this is the very first deck that I actually made in Shadowverse, and this is what I first used to climb out of the beginning ranks probably up until mid-C rank, high-C rank, until I started trying other decks. It's extremely powerful. I would actually recommend anyone that's new to Shadowverse to make this deck as their first deck. It only costs 6,500 vials, and it's actually effective at the Masters rank. It's a Masters level deck. On Game AI, the person that piloted it actually got 27 consecutive wins using this deck, so it's very powerful. Even though I didn't really know what I was doing and I wasn't comfortable with it, I lost very few times on the climb up to mid-C rank. Probably lost a handful of times out of 50-60 wins, so it's very, very powerful. It's very optimized. You will get wins out of nowhere that you probably shouldn't have got. So let's begin. Let's have a look at the deck. So it's an aggro style deck. So the aim of the deck is basically to kill the other guy as fast as possible. With this deck, it's usually never correct to trade. Maybe in the first 1 to 2 turns, maybe turn 3 at the most, you'll want to do some trades to keep the board. But I mean, if you've ever played Hearthstone, this is very similar to a sort of face hunter deck. You want to maximize your damage as much as possible. So I mean, if you can make trades that will give you more damage in the long run, that's usually correct, but trading is very, very, very unlikely to be the best play with this deck. So I mean, let's have a look at it. So let's have a look at some of the key cards. So I mean, there are aggro bat decks, and this is kind of an aggro bat deck, but it doesn't completely rely on the bat's energy. I mean, there are aggro bat decks out there that I tried, did not like them at all. So this is more of like a kind of, it relies on other things other than just the bat tech. So I mean, what I mean by bat tech is there's this card. Whenever an allied forest bat comes into play, deal 1 damage to the enemy leader. So obviously this card synergizes very well with playing bats. So you play this card, you play a card like this, summon 2 forest bats, you deal damage to them without them being able to stop it, basically through taunts, through anything. You also have this card. Then your turn, summon a forest bat. If an allied forest bat is in play, if there were 4 cards in the area when the turn ended, destroy this amulet and deal X damage to the enemy leader. So again, you're doing direct damage to their face that they can't stop. So it's very, very powerful. Interesting thing about this card actually is, as you might expect. So say you play this and you've got 2 bats, and you play this and it creates another bat. It won't actually go off because there weren't 4 cards in your area when the turn ended. Technically this happens after the turn ends, so it won't go off in that case. Also, it won't activate if it can't create a bat. So say you play this on a board where you've already got 4 things, and it can't create the bat at the end of the turn, it won't go off and it won't hit the enemy face. So there's some intricacies to this card. But again, this is the power of this deck. It is a bat aggro deck, but it's not solely relied on. I mean, the bat is just like an additional win condition. So you have cards like Bloodwolf, Storm, deal 2 damage to your leader. So This is a 2 mana 2/1 with Storm, so you can use it to rush their face. You can evolve it to do 4 damage out of your hand to their face. Very powerful. This card, deal 3 damage to an enemy, so you can use this on the face for 2 mana. Very, very powerful. I've won games just from having 3 of these in my hand, bringing them down to 9, just casting all 3 on turn 6, and you just kill them. It's a very, very powerful card. It'll have some surprise wins. I've got Summon Bloodkin that I've been over, summon 2 Forest Bats, so this is a kind of bat aggro deck, but like I said, the bats are just kind of there to carry the game along. So you've got Angelic Barrage, deal 1 damage to all enemies, so this is, again, this can push face damage, this can help against other aggro decks, so say if there's a lot of 1/1s, this can help against forest decks, so this is like a kind of tech card. To stop you from getting overwhelmed by 1/1s and to kind of protect your board and do face damage as well, so this is a very important card. Killer Devil, so this is another one that summons a forest bat, so this is used with the bat's energy. Mini Soul Devil, so this is a very clutch card, so you play this and then you evolve another character. It again deals 1 damage straight to their face, restores 1 health to your leader, so this is quite useful because you will be hurting yourself quite a lot with this deck. So this is another quite key card. Demonic Strike, deal 3 damage to an enemy, so this is the same as Razor Claw, but it doesn't have, it's basically more mana, but it doesn't have the downside that it hurts yourself, which generally in this deck doesn't matter. It only matters if you're against other aggro decks. Generally doing damage to yourself in this deck doesn't matter at all, because you're going to be dealing so much more damage to them. But again, this just gives you more reach, so I mean, you've got so much reach. Almost similar to a sort of aggro mage deck in WoW, in Hearthstone, where you basically have so much burn out of your hand that even if they manage to survive your onslaught, you can still burn them down without them being able to stop it. Even your destroy cost, so this is mainly used for clearing out annoying minions or taunts. Even this does 2 damage to the enemy leader. Another bat synergy card, this uses your bats to deal damage to enemy minions, so this is to kind of protect your board kind of card or remove taunts, and it gives you some forest bats as well, so it's a very useful card. Implanter, very, very strong card, storm minion, so I generally try and save my evolves for this card if I can, because it allows you to storm with 5 straight out of your hand. Very, very powerful card, and it's got high health, so it's very hard to remove. So this card can really win the game for you, turn 6 and 7. Demonic Storm, another powerful card. If this is the only thing that's in your hand, sometimes just 3 damage is all you need on turn 6 to end the game. If not, sometimes it can allow you to stabilize. If they've managed to get the board up on turn 6, you can wipe them out. Then they'll have to build the board up again, and then you can finish them off with a series of any of your other cards in the deck. And then if we go back to the beginning, I mean, you've got Ambling Wrath, just a kind of filler card. It's a powerful 1-drop. I mean, it's got decent stats for a 1-drop. It deals damage to them again. It deals damage to you as well, but it deals damage to them, which is important. This card, I mean, it's very vanilla 1/2. I mean, you might play it for tempo, for board pressure in the early game. It's just a vanilla card in the early game. In the late game it becomes more powerful because it's a 2/3 for 1 mana, so it's just more pressurizing card in the late game. So that's the deck really. It's a very efficient way of bringing the opponent's health down to 0. It's got lots and lots of ways to just finish off the game, and it's extremely powerful. Decks that this struggles against are really just the mid-range kind of decks, like mid-range Swordcraft or any of the Swordcraft decks. This deck might struggle against just because they're better at building the board against you. And Control Swordcraft as well, it might struggle against just because they play a lot of taunts, they play a few heals, things like that. Any of the other control decks though, this deck will smash. So D-Shift won't stand a chance against this deck. D-Shift generally blows up around turn 9, turn 10, something like that. That's when they win. This deck blows up before turn 7, so you'll usually kill them on turn 6, can kill them on turn 5, even earlier. You will majority of games have killed them by turn 7, so it's just far too fast for D-Shift to cope with. Stormhaven, this deck in my opinion is faster than Stormhaven. Stormhaven, it's a bit of a toss-up. If they get a very powerful start, they can kill you quickly. Same way, if you get a very powerful start, you can kill them before they get their explosive turn on turn 4 or 5. It can already be too late for them. Forestcraft decks, Path to Purgatory, this deck will destroy it. Tempo Forest, I mean, it can be quite difficult because they can efficiently trade. They have a lot of big taunts, so that can be quite difficult for this deck to beat. Other aggro decks like Aggro, Shadowcraft, Face Dragon, you should generally be faster than both of these decks, so there shouldn't be much to worry about. So yeah, on the whole, this is a very powerful deck. It's very cheap to build. It's quite fun to play because you need to find creative ways to get as much damage in as possible. So yeah, I'd highly recommend playing it. So now I'm going to do a quick playthrough of a match in rank just to show you how this deck works in practice. Stay tuned.